Good evening, everybody. David Paul here in the KHOU 11 Weather Center. We're facing the potential for a significant winter storm across the state. I think we're going to get at least some ice out of this. We could see more. We're going to be right on the edge of this. So as we talk about preparations for this, it's a lot like preparing for a hurricane. We are looking at a potential power outage for several days, possibly. We're looking at not being able to travel on the roads, not because trees are down from a hurricane or a windstorm, but because they're iced over. The bridges and overpasses could get iced up, and you may not be able to get to the store to get supplies, to get lunch. So have supplies, have a way to stay warm if the power goes out for a couple days, and hopefully it won't be too terribly bad here in Southeast Texas. That being said, some of the latest modeling coming in suggests a little bit more ice may fall than yesterday's models were showing. So it's going to be an evolving forecast, and I'll show you all of it here as we move along. Weather impact alert, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So Saturday, Sunday, ice with freezing rain coming down. That could ice up the roads. It's Monday that we're going to get the coldest morning. That's going to be a hard freeze Monday morning. Probably see it in the teens and low 20s widespread. So winterizing homes, at a minimum, it's the exposed pipes, the faucets that exit the house, cover those up. If you have an irrigation system, you've got that Venturi valve that comes out of the ground somewhere in your yard, get that covered up really nicely. If it freezes, it's going to cost you $150 to replace it. I know all about it. So I'd much rather just wrap it up tight and hopefully avoid the expense. If you're at home and the power is not out and you're running the heater, even in the, let's say you're running it in the 60s. Under normal conditions, even in Houston, homes will not see pipes inside the walls or the attic break because you're running the heater and it keeps the house warm. It's if the power goes out that those temps in the low 20s and upper teens then become dangerous to bursting house pipes. So what about the power? Well, I think our ice totals here are not high enough to bring down a lot of limbs and power lines. They look to be minimal. So it may be that here we only get a little bit of ice. It ices up some of the bridges and roads. We can't travel on some roads. Maybe some roads are shut off here and there in Southeast Texas. And maybe that's the worst of it here. The problem is the swath of ice across central and northeast Texas has the potential to be more than an inch thick. And you get that much ice on power lines, main transmission lines, and that adds hundreds of pounds to each line in between the poles. So it could be a case where you get power lines coming down north of us, not in our area, but north of us. But if some of the bigger transmission lines go down, it could be difficult to get the power we need in here because the lines up here are down, not in our area, but up north. So we may be wondering, wow, the storm's not that bad. Why is the power out? It would be because the ice is so thick across this area of Texas that it could cause transmission problems with power. So that's why we're suggesting that you prepare just in case power's out and you have some blankets and food and can stay home for a few days and just stay safe. Now, winter storm watches are already in effect from the Weather Service for the northeast third of Texas. That includes areas just north of Madisonville. This is where the ice could be very thick on I-45 this weekend. So if you have plans to drive I-45 north this weekend, I would cancel them. Just don't go. This is going to be bad. I-35 north of Austin, expect lots of ice, could shut it down in sections or completely. I-20 is the same thing. I've been on I-20 in an ice storm like this. It's awful. You do not want to be in it. You sit in your car for 6 hours and you go a quarter of a mile. It's that type of thing. And it's freezing and there's ice everywhere. So no, just cancel your plans to go to Northeast Texas. That includes northern Louisiana and into Arkansas and Oklahoma as well. Let's walk through this. So Wednesday, tomorrow, we get a chance for rain, scattered showers. Temperatures are mild here. It's all liquid tomorrow. We'll go into Thursday. Isolated showers, mostly cloudy. We're in the 60s, mild temps. Great days to get your preparations done, get some food, get some water, make sure you've got blankets, can stay warm if that becomes a concern. We go into Friday afternoon. While we're still in the upper 60s to near 70, there's your freezing rain and sleet. Abilene to just north of Dallas to Shreveport. So the icing begins on the I-20 corridor west of Dallas Friday afternoon. That could get impassable in a hurry. We go into Saturday morning. Models take Bush to 36 above freezing at 7 a.m., but north of that we may drop to below freezing. So, from the Woodlands north to Conroe, then up to Huntsville, and all the counties here north of Houston, north of I-10, could begin to get icing on the bridges and overpasses as early as Saturday morning at sunrise. In the meantime, it's been icing all night, Friday night, Waco to Lufkin. So I-45 north of Madisonville, I-35 corridor, I-20 could become impassable, completely impassable by Saturday morning. So that'll be a no-go zone. Saturday at 6 p.m., taking that ice chance all the way almost to Galveston, to the coast in many spots. Houston at 28 with freezing rain possible Saturday evening. That's horrible. That's lots of bridges closed. That's the possibility of lots of road closures, even right here in Houston, which would mean you couldn't go out to get dinner. That's why I'm saying get some food so you can just stay home this weekend. Just hang out. Sunday morning at 7 a.m., it continues. So this could get really thick. And this is when the ice could get thick enough on transmission lines to bring them down. If you get an inch of ice on a power line, it can add 500 to 1,000 pounds to that string just between the two poles. That's how heavy the ice can get. And that, although it's happening well to our north, if it hits main transmission lines that are bringing power in from the south, from north to south, that could cut our power in spots for a long time with temperatures being cold and getting the ice. So we are sort of preparing as if it's a tropical storm. To stay home, have food, water, warmth, shelter. Outside right now, 60 at Bush, Sugarland 62, beautiful evening, just gorgeous. Wednesday's numbers take it to 70, got a 50-50 chance for scattered showers tomorrow. So even though we're getting a little rain, good day to get preps going tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday with temps that are mild before the cold weather comes in. Now, let's take a look at the big picture, then we'll take a look at more specifically the icing models. Look at all the models. Here's the setup. We talked about this all last week. The Hudson Bay Low, look at it, just perfectly circular. That is a well-formed low-pressure area, and that setup just sends shots cold air south one after the other. That's cold weather pattern for the United States as that flow just keeps bringing the cold air shots one after another into the lower 48. At the same time, here we go. That's your low pressure storm out in the Pacific. There's not much to it now, but it will evolve and come across and take a southern track into Texas. At the same time, that next shot of cold air is coming down into Texas, and so timing is everything. And this one is bad. Cold air will be settled well into place as the onset of that lift from that low and the rain and then the freezing rain and sleet and snow from it move in over the weekend. This is the snow forecast. So this is just the fluffy stuff. This is like what we had a year ago here in January. What a beautiful snow day we had last January, right around this time of January. We had about 4 inches of snow. That was completely manageable because it's fluffy snow. It's much easier to drive and get around on that than it is on the ice. The ice just makes everything impossible. So we don't get snow out of this one. They do up here in North Texas, Oklahoma, and Little Rock. Here's the that was the Euro snow. Here's the GFS snow. This is the American model, basically the same story. Interesting, both models give Little Rock 2 feet of snow. Okay. Now the ice. European model has been very consistent past couple of days, and this is the same thing, runs updated, but it stops the ice threat around I-10, maybe it's the 59 corridor to the southwest and north of that, but it keeps the really heavy ice, the type that can bring down power lines, to the north, basically from Waxahachie up to Dallas and then east I-20 over to Shreveport would be the worst of the ice. The American model updated, and it takes ice all the way to the coast, all the way to Galveston and the Bolivar Peninsula, a chance for, when I say ice, we're talking about freezing rain. Those are liquid raindrops. They come down and then they hit the surfaces of the bridges and overpasses that are below freezing, and it turns into ice instantly. It's no fun, can't make snowball, and it makes travel impossible. So that's what we're looking at for Houston, a little bit of that, and that would shut down traffic. And then north of that, the ice could be very thick, and that's where the transmission lines and power outage stuff's going to be really significant. And also all the windmills out here in West Texas. If you've driven out here, you know it's covered in windmills. Well, ice and snow on windmills turn them off. So we would not get the power generation from wind. Even though the wind may be blowing, they'd have to shut them down. So that would reduce power generation capacity as well. It's a mess. Prepare for the power outage. That means prepare for cold in your house. Make sure you've got blankets. It can stay warm. You'll be camping out basically in some cold weather. Widespread road closures means you need to have food and whatever medicine you may or may not need for Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Protect exposed pipes. We talked about the irrigation pipes. If your power stays on and you're running the heater, pipes are fine. It's if the power goes out and the temperatures get cold, then your attic pipes and wall pipes can freeze. That's what we had back in February of 2021. Low temperature forecast. Very mild through Friday. Saturday, we stay in the 30s all day. We may drop to freezing during the day on Saturday, and then 26, 22, 26. So those temperatures, again, those are not cold enough to damage your house pipes if you are home running the heater. The attic pipes will be fine, the wall pipes will be fine. We've seen this over and over again. I've lived in several different types of homes here in my life here in Houston. These temperatures are fine. Your house interior pipes are fine as long as you're running the heater. Someone's home. But if the heat's going to be turned off, either you're out of town or there's a power outage, that's when it can threaten those pipes. The outside pipes need to be covered in those situations. Once again, tomorrow, 70 with a rain chance of 50-50, off and on during the day. Nothing big and bad. And then you got a couple of more days to get things prepped so that you're ready to just stay home, stay off the roads, and just watch us. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Again, we'll be on TV, we'll be on Plus. You can just flip us on and we'll always be there for you as we head into this winter storm that may be mild here. We hope for a mild outcome here. Just a little bit of ice here. We could handle that. But even if we do get just a little bit of ice and it's not that big a deal right here in Houston, further north, if they get those transmission lines damaged, then we could have the power outage and that would be a mess. And so it is like a hurricane. We're preparing for the worst and we're hoping for the best. That's where we stand. Hard freeze Monday morning. All that being said, we'll continue to update you guys here on Plus several times a day. So we're always here. It's always there. Just hit it and you can get your latest weather update. We do it every time the models update. Have a great evening, everybody.